Last week, I covered Interlune, the Helium-3 mining startup, for the second time, providing all the latest updates on them. While I consider Interlune to be more advanced than other companies demonstrating Helium-3 mining tech on the moon, they are not the only startup. In fact, 3 other lunar startups have their eyes set on selling Helium-3 from lunar resources on Earth. First of all, why are companies interested in mining Helium-3 and why are they going all the way to the moon to do this? Wouldn't it be much simpler to mine Helium-3 on Earth? Yes, it would, but unfortunately, the Earth's magnetic field blocks Earth from the sun's solar wind, which is the main source of Helium-3. The Earth contains only tiny amounts of this precious resource. That's why it's so expensive. The moon, on the other hand, doesn't have a magnetic field worth mentioning, so it's constantly bombarded with solar wind, including trace amounts of Helium-3. All of this extremely valuable resource is just sitting there on the lunar surface, ready for some entrepreneurial company to come along and scoop it up. Of course, it's a little more complicated than that, but you get the picture. Now, before you type in the comments that Helium-3 is only useful for nuclear fusion reactors, that's not true. In fact, the main business driver for these companies is quantum computing. In a nutshell, these machines need to be cooled down to within a fraction of a degree of absolute zero, far colder than interstellar space. Otherwise, they don't work. It turns out you can only do that with Helium-3. No Helium-3, no quantum computing. Companies will pay $20 million per kilo for Helium-3. That's a lot of money. I'll cover these companies and briefly mention other startups excavating lunar resources. These other companies could potentially mine Helium-3 as a secondary revenue stream. Finally, I'll give my opinion on the state of the Helium-3 mining scene and the broader lunar mining companies in general. Drop your thoughts and opinions in the comments section after watching the video. We'll discuss them live this weekend. I host a live stream every weekend recapping this week's videos, where I read out some of the best comments and chat messages from viewers. Hope to see you there for the next one. Now, let's check out the pure play Helium-3 mining companies in competition with Interlune. Magna Petra. Magna Petra calls itself the leading lunar resources company with plans to prospect, extract, and sell lunar Helium-3 on Earth. I've covered this company on this channel already, so check out that video for all the details. One new update we have about the company is that they won an award from the Moon Village Association in the category of Lunar Game Changer in 2025. They were recognized for their cost-effective logistics for Helium-3 extraction as an alternative to massive regolith processing. The company has patent-pending technology to capture and contain volatiles, including Helium-3, from the lunar soil without using significant amounts of energy. Helium-3 is present on the moon's surface in 2 forms, loosely bound or unbound. Magna Petra is going after the smaller amount of unbound Helium-3 present in the top 100 nanometers of lunar soil. They capture this unbound Helium-3 using only tilling and sifting. This requires much less energy than capturing trapped Helium-3, which requires substantial amounts of heat. This approach from Magna Petra has pros and cons. The advantages are it requires a simpler, lower mass rover that performs mechanical tilling and sifting of the lunar topsoil. This dramatically cuts down the amount of energy needed and doesn't generate vast plumes of dust contaminating the nearby lunar surface, making other operations difficult or impossible. This is a core technical difference compared to Interlune, which does have plans for active excavation of the soil, with a single excavator from Interlune pulverizing hundreds of tons of soil per hour. The disadvantage is that they can't extract as much Helium-3 from any given area of the lunar surface, since they specifically target unbound Helium-3 only. Digging into the literature suggests roughly 40 to 70% of the Helium-3 can be extracted with relatively little energy, perhaps just mechanical agitation, vibration, and mild heating. The rest is tightly trapped and inaccessible to Magna Petra's technology. In other words, Magna Petra is going after the low-hanging fruit. With up to 70% of helium-3 accessible, that doesn't sound like a bad idea. So, I think we can summarize Magna Petra as going for an easy win and Interlune going for the big win. Given the demand for helium-3 on Earth, I see no reason why both can't be successful if they develop and operate their equipment for a reasonable cost. With much lower capital and operating expenses due to simpler, lower mass equipment, even with lower yields, the economics are better for Magna Petra, according to the company. They also have an agreement with iSpace for future lunar missions, with a robotic capture and return mission planned for 2029. Lunar Helium-3 Mining is based in Arizona and was founded in 2023. Their goal is to provide lunar helium-3 on Earth for clean energy and the quantum computing revolution. The company is developing non-invasive technology for the detection, extraction, and refinement of helium-3. They have secured 5 US patents covering end-to-end architecture, gas separation, and more. They're currently working on hardware development, with discussions underway with both US and European rover companies looking for a flight opportunity to the lunar surface. Funding is internal so far, with plans to raise capital once they're ready to produce flight hardware. Their emphasis on non-invasive techniques suggests they're going the same route as Magna Petra and only looking to extract unbound helium-3. This company is active on their X account, with a post just a few hours before this video was made. They highlighted NASA's new accelerated approach to lunar landers, which will directly benefit the company, providing opportunities to fly their hardware to the lunar surface sooner and more often. The Extraterrestrial Mining Company, or XMC. I'm including this startup for completeness, as their website has been down for a while, according to the Internet Wayback Machine. Their LinkedIn page still works, so perhaps the company is simply maintaining a low profile for the moment. The company was founded in 2023 in New York City. Its goal is a large-scale mining of the lunar surface to extract helium-3. We don't have many details about the company, with no hardware announcements or contracts. The leadership has a strong science background and, according to interviews in 2025, plans a lunar reconnaissance mission in 2028. This appears to be a company in early stage setup with little known publicly. At the moment, they appear to be building up interest in the company via interviews and presentations. Okay, now we've covered the pure play helium-3 miners, what about the wider lunar ecosystem? Lunar Regolith processing startups. While the startups I've listed all have extraction of helium-3 from lunar soil as their core business plan, other companies could capture and sell helium-3 as a secondary income stream. This is because a company processing lunar soil will generate volatiles that could be captured and sold to third parties. Any liberated materials would have value to other companies on the moon. Oxygen and argon can be used for pressurizing habitats, while hydrogen can be used as fuel. Helium could also be captured and sold to helium-3 lunar startups for a price. Let's look at some lunar regolith processing companies now. Astroport Space Technologies. Astroport is a lunar infrastructure startup. They have plans to build roads, landing pads, berms, and even habitats. They do this by melting regolith, adding a binder to convert the mixture into a strong, durable construction material. Ethos Space Resources has a similar idea. They plan to melt regolith to build landing pads and also to capture the oxygen for sale, either for life support or rocket fuel. A single lunar starship has tanks large enough to hold 940 tons of liquid oxygen. Both of these startups are teaming up with Astrolab and plan to use a modified version of their Flex rover. Blue Origin has an entire team within the company working on lunar harvesting and processing called Blue Alchemist. Last week, the company announced their Air Pioneer system that extracts oxygen from lunar soil using a reactor to heat the soil and then purifies the gases to obtain oxygen. Blue has plans to extract metals, minerals, and ceramics from lunar soil. The company is vertically integrated, having all the capabilities and technologies on its own. It could also be a useful partner for many of the smaller lunar startups. For instance, the company is interested in purchasing lunar source rocket fuel for its Mark II lunar lander. I could go on and mention other companies such as Sislune, Starpath, Lunar Resources Inc., and Argo Space. Let's just say there are plenty of companies that have an interest in processing lunar soil and could sell unwanted volatiles to the helium-3 miners, or perhaps extract and sell helium-3 themselves. One issue is that to be commercially viable, vast amounts of lunar soil will need to be processed, likely in the billion-ton range. These other companies may not process materials at a level that meaningfully helps helium-3 miners. Analysis and comparison. We can break down the helium-3 miners into two tiers. The first tier consists of the stronger contenders that are better funded with hardware, or have teamed up with partners that move them closer to demonstrating capability. The second tier consists of smaller, early-stage companies that have yet to find meaningful funding or have not developed hardware yet. First tier, Interlune and Magna Petra. These two companies have chosen a different path to extract helium-3 from the lunar soil. Magna Petra has made the business choice to only collect unbound helium-3 from the topsoil. That results in lower mass, simpler equipment with lower capital expenditure needed and reduced operating costs. The disadvantage is lower yields as only half the helium-3 can be extracted. Interlune has chosen to extract all available helium-3 from the soil using heavier equipment that will more deeply mine the lunar surface, applying higher temperatures to break helium-3 from its bonds. This recovers more helium-3 at the expense of higher complexity and mass. Still, Interlune is well funded, at least in comparison to the other miners. Second tier, LH3M and XMC. LH3M has 5 patents and has chosen the non-invasive route similar to Magna Petra. No public hardware has been shown yet. XMC is the company we know the least about. They're planning a lunar reconnaissance mission in 2028, but no technology or hardware has been shown in public. Interlune is clearly in the lead, with contracts with private companies such as Maybell Quantum and Blue Force. In addition, they have a contract with the US Department of Energy for sale of helium-3. Magna Petra has secured a number of partnerships, including iSpace, and has secured access to a NASA instrument that detects volatiles, including helium-3. Final thoughts. The good news is that NASA's commercial lunar lander program, called CLPS, is now running on steroids, with almost a landing per month for the next couple of years. This provides the helium-3 miners with ample opportunity to fly their technology to the moon and iterate towards a commercial solution. What do you think about mining helium-3 on the moon? Can startups make money selling helium-3 on Earth? Leave your thoughts and opinions in the comments section below. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this space video, consider buying me a coffee to help fund more episodes like this. The link is in the description. Watch the weekly livestream to see the images, clips and slides from this week's videos. It's a live Q&A on this week's space topics where I read out some of the best comments. The more people join, the more fun the livestream is. Be sure to like and subscribe so you will see our upcoming videos. We make videos every week covering the space industry with an emphasis on the smaller space startups that aren't covered so well on other channels. See you soon.